Okay, we're moving into chapter 8, which is about sequences, series. So they are basically just numbers that follow some sort of pattern in a sequence. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is how to read them. A sequence looks like this. And so the way you're used to seeing it would be with the actual numbers. But the way you read that is if it's a sub 1, that means this little 1 right here means the term that it is. So that would be the first term in the sequence. A sub 2 would be the second term, like that. So what you're going to end up writing is a rule called A sub n. And what that means is that any term that I want, I can find by just plugging in for n. So if I wanted the 20th term, I would take the formula and plug in 20 for n. Okay, so it's pretty easy. What you've got to learn how to do in this section before you can write a rule is you have to figure out how to how to find out what the pattern is. So what are we doing to go from 1 to 2.5 and then again from 2.5 to 4? So in this case, it looks like we're adding 1.5. So let's just make sure that's the same in each case. If it is, that's our rule. So we're adding 1.5, we get 4, add 1.5 again, we get 5.5, and then finally we end up with 7. So we know that 1.5 is our thing that we're adding. So we're going to call that, in purposes of this rule, we're going to call that the distance. Okay, so, no, I'm sorry, not the distance. Take that off, the difference. Let me erase this out. Difference, not distance. Okay. And we'll be using that in the future, so you know how, so you would at least know what it's called. Okay, and now we have this symbol here. It's called a sigma, and all it means is the summation of some sort of a series. So the way this will work, like the one that you see here, let's just solve this equation. I would give you something that says I equals 1 to 4, and the function we're going to use is 2i. So the way this looks, and all of this e, don't let that scare you, the e or the sigma just really stands for sum and just says add them all up at the end. So right here, this I equals 1, that's going to be your lower limit, and all that means is that you're going to start at that number. So in this case, you're going to start with 1. This is your upper limit, which means you're going to stop at that number. So I'm going to stop at 4. So I'm going to plug in 1, 2, 3, 4 into this function here, and then add up all my answers. So the first term would be 2 times 1. I'm going to add that to 2 times 2. I'm going to add that to 2 times 3. And I'm going to add that to 2 times 4. But then I'm going to stop there. So and I know to stop because that's the higher number. So it'd be 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, which would be 20. Okay, so that is the answer to this crazy looking thing here. The answer is just 20. And all it means is summation. Okay, this is where you want to pause and play the video. These questions are on page 220 in the workbook. And what I'd like for you to do is try them first and then turn the video back on to see how you did. Okay, so if I want the first 6 terms, that's going to be a sub 1. That means I'm going to plug 1 in for n. So my first term is going to be 0. I need to plug in a sub 2. So my first term will be 7. I'm sorry, my second term will be 7. I need to plug in a sub 3. My next term then would be 26, I believe. A sub 4 would be plug the 4 in for n. That is 63. A sub 5, which is the 5th term, will be 5 cubed minus 1, which is 124. And then a sub 6 would be 6 cubed minus 1, which is 215. Okay, so it's pretty easy. So to do 2, same thing. The first term will be 1 plugged in for n. So this would be negative 2 to the 0 power, which is 1. A sub 2 would be negative 2 to the 2 minus 1, would be negative 2 to the 1. A sub 3 would be negative 2 to the 3 minus 1, which is 4. Careful of the signs there. A sub 4 would be negative 2 to the 4 minus 1, which is negative 2 to the 3rd, which is negative 8. A sub 5 would be negative 2 to the 4th. This would be 5 minus 1. That would be 16 positive. And then A sub 6 would be negative 2 to the 6 minus 1, which is 5. And that would be negative 32. Okay, so the sequence would be 1, negative 2, 4, negative 8, 16, negative 32. Okay, so down here on the bottom, we're just finding the sum. So I'm going to start at 2 and end at 5. So it'll be 2 over 2 minus 1, plus 3 over 3 minus 1, plus 4 over 4 minus 1, plus 5 over 5 minus 1. I'm going to end there. This would be 2 plus 3 over 2, plus 4 over 3, plus 5 over 4. And we would have to, in this case, get common denominators. It looks like we would use 12. So I'm going to make all of these 12. So let's see, this one would have to be 24. Because 24 over 12 is 2. Here I'm going to multiply by 6, so that'll be 18. Here I'm going to multiply by 4, so that'll be 16. And here I'm going to multiply by 3, so that'll be 15. Add those together, and that would be 73 over 12. Alright, and for this next one, we have, so we're going to plug in 1 squared plus 2 squared all the way up to 18. And after you work that out, the final answer would be 2109. Right now, you just have to plug it in your calculator until you get it, but there is an easier way to do that, which we'll go over later.